So we're going to focus on the language and literacy domain that you can find in Volume 1. And this works in conjunction with the English language development domain. So here's a map of the domain. And you can see the domain there at the top, language and literacy. The strand that this particular page focuses on is reading, and then there's a substrand underneath there, and it's organized as most of the domains are according to age, at around 48 months of age and at around 60 months of age. And then we have the foundation, and then we have examples. And remember, this is not a checklist. These are just examples. You don't have to see that in order to know if the child has achieved that level of development or accomplished that foundation. And at the very bottom of the page, you're going to have notes for children with special needs. So the language and literacy domain, this language and literacy development depends on children's functioning in other domains, including cognitive development, social emotional development, physical development, and for English learners, English language development. So when we look at the strands, then we first start out with spoken language, so listening and speaking, and so that's the strand. The substrand of that strand are language use and conventions, and vocabulary, and then grammar, or the structure of that spoken language. And remember, this would include, the strand is listening and speaking. So listening would be receptive language, and speaking would be expressive language. The next strand is reading, and we saw that in the map. The substrands of reading, and keep in mind this is for children birth to age 5, and so we're not going to be doing the same kinds of activities or using the same approaches. We're going to use developmentally appropriate approaches that are geared around their age and their skills according to age, and their individual skills, and then their culture and language. So concepts about print, thinking about what the purpose of print is, and zeroing in on what the children are interested in. And the very first thing they're interested in is their name, places they go often or places they like to go. And so that would be our focus, rather than having them memorize alphabet letters and sounds, but starting with things that they're interested in because they're egocentric, of course, according to Piaget, focused on their perspective versus that of others. Phonological awareness, awareness that print is attached to sounds from the spoken language. Alphabetics and word print recognition, comprehension and analysis of age-appropriate text, so making sure that we read lots of books with them, and then literacy, interest, and response. So a lot of substrands for the reading strand. And remember, we're doing this in a developmentally appropriate way, using real materials, three-dimensional representations, not flashcards or workbooks. And then the last strand is writing and writing strategies. And so with this, we're going to want to make sure we include writing starting with their name, and not just tracing letters, but letting them do their own version of writing, and then working towards, as they become more competent, to writing it on lines.